What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of one of the devices that I was looking forward to most this year. It is, of course, the HP built TouchPad. Let's go ahead, dig in, get to the full review, and see if it's worthy of the huge hype that's been bestowed upon it. So let me recap the specs very quickly of the HP TouchPad. It's got a 9.7 inch, and of course that's diagonal display with a resolution of 1024 by 768. It's getting all its power from a dual-core Qualcomm built Snapdragon chip at 1.2 gigahertz. So that's 1.2 gigahertz on each core. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the OS. This is WebOS 3.0, and there's a lot to talk about. So all that swiping and gestures that you loved or might not have loved about WebOS is all here. You can go ahead and swipe up from any of the bezels, with the one exception of the top one where the front-facing camera is located. But it works anywhere, so if I've got something open, said open up a web page, swipe up like you saw, you can go ahead and access your deck of cards. There's also a physical home button here on the bottom of the device when you have it all the way up in portrait orientation, which does exactly the same thing. So I open this up, hit the home button, and it'll take me right back to where I was. There's not much additional functionality you get with the home button. You can use it to take screenshots, for example, much like you can on an iPhone or an iPad. You know, hold this down, quick button combo, and it takes a screenshot. It's a bit superfluous and unnecessary. I found myself never even using that home button, but it is there. Notifications are a bit different. They show up in the upper right-hand corner. I've got a Facebook one that's popped up right there. You can see what it is. They'll also show up on the lock screen if you like them to. So you can see what it looks like right there. There's notification. Swipe off, and there it goes. Very unobtrusive. I love the way WebOS does notifications. They really do it right. They're completely out of the way, but you can access them whenever you need to. All right, so let's talk about this screen. The screen here is absolutely beautiful. I'll go ahead and open up a Techno Buffalo image. Video absolutely pops. Images absolutely pop. If you're looking at a website, the text is crisp and clear. The screen on this is absolutely great, beautiful. If you were worried about getting a washed out effect or worried it might look like, well, Motorola Zoom, for example, not to worry. You're going to get a beautiful, beautiful viewing experience here on the TouchPad. All right, so now let's talk about the browser, since that's where we are right now anyway. The browser here is probably one of the best I've seen on a tablet, and that goes for any tablet in existence. It's extremely smooth. I very rarely saw that checkerboard pattern from loading. Pinch to zoom was extremely smooth. And one of the best things about this tablet is its ability to play Flash. And it plays Flash extremely well. Once again, the best implementation I've ever seen of Flash on a mobile device. Let's go ahead and go to YouTube, and we'll go to the native YouTube. We'll go to the YouTube channel, John4Lakers. So we'll go ahead and cue that up. And it will start playing the video. And if you like to browse YouTube videos, you can browse them just as you would on your desktop computer. There really isn't a YouTube application here because one's not necessary. You can use YouTube and watch video just as you could anywhere else. And as I showed you in my unboxing, it does actually play Hulu, or at least it hasn't been blocked yet from playing Hulu. So if you have one of these, you might enjoy it while it lasts before that gets blocked. So go ahead and let it start to play. Give it a second to queue up. And you are going to get your video played. And you are going to get the same controls that you get on your desktop browser. You get the full scrubber effect across the bottom. You can go ahead and make this full screen. Go ahead and turn the volume down so I don't make anybody deaf. It's a good time actually to mention the Beats audio speakers. There are two located here. The audio that comes out of these sound absolutely fantastic, although it's not going to do it justice to hear it come from the tablet to the camera, then upload it to YouTube, which is going to sound average. Where the Beats audio really comes to play, though, is when you have headphones plugged in. The audio that you get out of this is absolutely outstanding. All right, so here's Flash playing. You can see John Quatch. If you make it full screen, you get a pretty nice viewing experience. It stutters for just a second, then it opens up in full screen. Now this I found a little annoying. You can't watch YouTube videos in any orientation you want. You can only watch it the way it wants you to, which is like this. It's not a giant deal, but something that I found very annoying while watching a video, you know, laying in bed or something. I have to keep turning around if I didn't have it set up the right way. So there is Flash content, no stuttering, really smooth. If you like to watch a lot of Flash videos, this is absolutely a wonderful choice. All right, so let's go ahead and exit out of this. So conclusion, browser, pretty awesome. So there's Junk Watch. Go ahead and pause it. And then if you want to exit out of a full screen, you have to exit out of it, and then you can go ahead and do your little swipe up. We'll go and get that out of here. Also kind of a fun thing too, if you want to close an application, obviously you can swipe it off the screen, but you can also bounce it off the screen, which I found to be kind of fun. If you pull all the way down, it'll snap right up like that. I don't know. It was enjoyable to me. All right, so let's talk about apps. Apps are important to use. Apps are important to me's. Apps are the lifeblood of tablets. And here we're looking at the HP app catalog. And unfortunately, there aren't many apps. This is the same criticism I had with Android Honeycomb. There just wasn't that much out there. Developers haven't had that much time with the APIs. Certainly, HP is making a huge push to get apps on this thing, but there just aren't many right now. In fact, one of their flagships apps that they showed when they first launched this device, or first showed it rather, in February, you can see some of the applications right here. Some of them are optimized for TouchPad. It'll show up when they're not, just won't say for TouchPad. But I was really excited to go ahead and check out the Kindle store. It was one of the apps that they showcased when they first launched it. It's even here on the device. So I go ahead and launch it. I'm going to read my books. Boom, thank you for downloading Kindle. We're hard at work bringing it to you. They just gave you an icon that takes you to a splash screen that says it's not ready yet. And that's sort of a microcosm for the app situation for the touchpad. It's not ready yet. It's got a lot of potential. Maybe it'll have a ton of apps, but there just aren't that many right now. The apps that there are, however, there's a dedicated Facebook app for the tablet, which works very well, although I prefer the web, just native web version of Facebook. You're going to head and have that here, and there are some Twitter applications and the stuff that you'd use on a pretty regular basis. All right, so let me go ahead and jump back to a browser window. So I want to show you the keyboard. The keyboard here is one of the things that I really liked about the touchpad. You can see it right here, and it's pretty standard fare. It's a keyboard, but what makes it much easier for me, at least, is having that full row of numbers across the top. I never realized how often I use numbers, and eliminating a keystroke of having to hit a function button and then hit the numbers made it much, much easier. A little bit annoying though, this tab button, the same thing as a tab button on an actual keyboard, and I keep moving you down. I kept thinking I had to hit tab if I wanted to get like the exclamation mark or something. That was just me. You get access to symbols and smiley faces and all that stuff. Keyboard's pretty good. You can see the letters that you type over it, and it just works well. I launched Google. But it does, it does work, and it's a keyboard. It's got the multi-touch capabilities. I would have liked to have had the letter sort of hover up as I have my finger over it, but it's pretty good, and it works well when you have it in landscape orientation as well. Now, if memory serves me correct, when we first saw this at the Palm event, they were showing us that you could actually resize the keyboard to different sizes. That, however, does not appear to have made it into the shipping version of this, so maybe we'll see that in future updates. Go ahead and get that guy off the screen. Let's go ahead and check out email. This will use, Palm or HP's now Synergy applications, where it'll sort of bring everything together. It's email, it works. I like that you have these sort of sliding panels, so you can move things over and get more room depending on what you need or don't need or what you want to see. It's a very elegant interface, and the email just works pretty well on here. So that's all I'm going to talk about that. We'll go ahead and swipe that sucker off the screen. Let's go ahead and talk about Just Type. Something interesting here in Just Type. And Just Type is HP's version of Universal Search, and it searches universally, but there's something funny in here that I wanted to show you. So let me go ahead and type something. Let's just type BBBBB. And you can search on Google, and there are other sort of functionality you can put in here. We'll hide the keyboard, Twitter, YouTube, and all that stuff. But if you look at that YouTube logo, it is super pixelated. All right, so there you go. You can see that YouTube logo. It is just completely pixelated. It's funny that that made it into the shipping build. I don't know. It's one of those little things that I wanted to point out. All right, so let's talk about build quality here of the HP TouchPad. Feels pretty solid. It's nice and good in the hands. It is probably the biggest fingerprint magnet of any device I've ever used. Not just the back, but the screen as well. If I turn this off, in addition to the reflection of my overhead fan, you're going to see fingerprints, and usually they wipe off pretty easily. This one you really got to scrub if you want to clean it. Although the package comes in at a relatively heavy by tablet standard, 1.6 pounds. When you compare it to the iPad 2 or the Galaxy Tab 10.1, you realize that you are carrying definitely a heavier tablet. So let's talk about battery life. It's got a 6,300 milliamp hour battery life. See the battery indicator there in the upper right-hand corner. And battery life is actually pretty outstanding. I was able to get through 3 days pretty easily of watching intensive video, email coming in constantly. Battery life was not a problem on here, even while viewing video and doing intensive stuff. I do wish there was a back camera on here. Not that I used it very often, but I like to have the option to not use it at least. This is completely missing any sort of rear camera. It does have a front-facing camera, but it's really not user accessible. There isn't a camera application where you can snap a photo of yourself, for example. You have to just use this for video conferencing with Skype, which, when we did the testing, does not work with the new Mac client. So if you want to Skype video with someone who's using a Mac, you are going to be out of luck until a software fix comes out. We did test it from mobile device to touchpad, so from an iPhone to a touchpad, for example. It worked, and from a PC to a touchpad, it also worked as well. Something to keep in mind. So let me wrap this all up into a conclusion. The touchpad is really a microcosm of HP in general. A lot of potential. You know, there's a lot here. The operating system is smooth, it's slick, but there's just something about it that makes you realize you can't use it on an everyday basis. Whether it's the lack of app support, whether or not it's the heavy size, you know, it's just not something that I think I could use every single day. Especially at a price point that's exactly the same as the iPad 2 and the Galaxy Tab 10.1. I was trying to decide what the value add was for the HP touchpad. So if you want to get a tablet, and assuming you don't have any feeling one way or another towards Apple or Google or RIM, why would you get a touchpad? And I couldn't think of an answer, especially at that $500 price point. You'd be much better suited going with an iPad 2, going with the Galaxy Tab 10.1, and getting that sort of more robust ecosystem and a more polished product. Now, maybe we'll see revisions and software updates come up that'll address some of my gripes. Maybe we'll see developers really make a big push here. But I know if I was a developer and I was making an application and I had a choice to write it for the touchpad, write it for Android, or write it for iOS, I'd be very hard pressed to spend my time writing an application for the touchpad. I think we're going to see really a lot of that in here. Now, if this was $50 cheaper or $100 cheaper, I'd say absolutely it's a great tablet to get. $100 less, then you'd be competing with something like the Asus ePad Transformer, and you're going to have two really good choices. But I just can't recommend it for the price. I can't figure out what the value add is. Things like the Touchstone dock are kind of neat, and the Touch to Share at the Pre 3, but that's not out yet, and I can't show you that. So you're left with a wireless charging option that's going to cost you an extra couple bucks, and a tablet that works well, but maybe not as well as other tablets on the market. So HP, once again, it's close, almost there, but it's just not quite 100%. So maybe we'll stay tuned for the touchpad 2 or maybe future software updates, but for right now, I just can't recommend it to my audience. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo. Do you agree or disagree? I'm very curious what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in the next video.